This week on Loaded Politics, the Florida Senate and 27th Congressional District races.
This is Mario Kareem. We're talking about the Florida Senate and House District 27 race. Florida is the swingiest of swing races. Let's get into it.
I really want to know about Florida itself. Can you tell me about the voting demographics? So who votes and how do they vote?
The state of Florida, it's very diverse. Like you got your Cubans, Puerto Ricans, white people, everything.
So demographics, you're talking mainly older voters?
Mainly older voters. If you're 65 and older, you vote at like 82% rate. Under 30, it's like somewhere in the 50s.
So what are the major issues in Florida right now?
I'm glad you asked that because old people are all Medicare basically. Also, environment really matters in Florida. We're talking about Florida, which has had split Senate representation since the 1970s. And although it leans Republican in presidential elections, winners have only won by about a 2-point margin.
So let's talk about the Florida Senate race. Obviously the demographics are going to be the same as what you just talked about because it's the whole state, but how do you feel like the two main candidates are really going to play into the race?
So the incumbent Democrat is Bill Nelson. He's so pro-ACA. He's trying to secure jobs for the generations of the future.
All right, who's running against him? Who's the
Running against him is Rick Scott. He's the current governor. And it's strange because normally the challenger isn't an incumbent as well, but he's an incumbent governor. Incumbents generally win. That's a long-term factor that's very important. But if you think about name recognition, Rick Scott has the same name recognition as Bill Nelson because he's the governor.
As far as polling's going right now, who seems to have the advantage going into early voting?
It's interesting because over the summer, the governor, Rick Scott, had the advantage. During the debate, they were neck and neck. Right now, I would say Nelson has the advantage by 2.6%.
I mean, how do they seem to the public, right, on their debate stage performances?
Oh my God, their vote was so toxic. They were just attacking each other the whole time. He put a pretty even front. Like, they didn't gain or lose from that. Although, since then, Bill Nelson's pulled ahead. Talking about the debates, Rick Scott was like, "You're a failed career politician. You haven't done anything." And then Bill Nelson, word for word, was like, "Apparently, you never got your mouthwash out with soap after telling a lie."
We have an incumbent Democrat who's not spending a ton and the challenger who is spending a lot of money. Do we see that playing out?
Well, the thing is, that's standard. Is the challenger generally spends more than the incumbent. I think what's more important is that we don't know how this is going because Florida since 1970s has been leaning slightly Republican, but it's generally 50-50.
So talk to me about the biggest outside influencers in this election.
Trump's approval, although it was at a high of 49 recently, it was a relative high, is down to 45% in Florida. Historically, low presidential approval rates correlate to high opposition party turnout. So we can expect a blue wave.
So overall, what's your prediction? Who wins at the end of the day?
So overall, it's kind of...
All right, so we're gonna keep going. I want you to give me your take now. How do you feel things are going in the Senate race?
So I think that Florida is a really hard state to predict. Everything seems kind of tied right now. I mean, Florida usually has a Republican lean, but we are expecting a blue wave this year because of the presidential ratings. I don't think that we can really tell much from the candidate spending because we usually expect the challenger to spend more than the incumbent. The debate doesn't really tell us anything. It was really kind of a tie between the two. While Rick Scott is a really good quality challenger and he has great name recognition from being the governor, in the end, I think we're going to have to default to incumbency advantage and Nelson is going to come out on top because that's really hard to beat.
Yeah, you got it, right?
Okay, perfect.
All right, so let's talk about the House race, okay?
House 27?
Yeah. So tell me how this district differs from the state makeup, both in voting turnout and like demographics.
Okay, so Clinton won this district by 20%. It is very Hispanic is the makeup of this district.
So it's a Democratic district?
It's a very Democratic district.
Okay. So tell me who's running then. Like who plays well to this district?
So we have Donna Shalala and we also have Maria Salazar. She's a journalist. Donna Shalala is the Democrat running. Maria Salazar is the Republican. Shalala doesn't speak Spanish, whereas Salazar does.
And so what are the major issues for the people?
The major issues is, well, just like anywhere in Florida, healthcare is a huge issue. The Republican in this case has kind of gone pretty moderate on this issue in wake of Parkland and such. She is pro assault rifle ban. They had a debate earlier. Salazar came out in front immediately, but Shalala pulled ahead in the polls right after by 2.6%.
But it was still a couple daes after, right? So I mean, it kind of seems like maybe she won the debate and she won a little bit afterwards, but it didn't necessarily swing the whole election.
It did not swing the whole thing, but Shalala is up by 2.4%. 4% now, even though Salazar presented herself better during it.
So what do you feel are some of the biggest outside influences in the election?
Trump's approval is low and Democrats are high in this election. I think it's a huge influence. It's a major one that we have to consider. It's an open seat, so there's nothing incumbency related that we can consider for this. But since Trump's approval rate is really low, Trump's really unpopular in the Hispanic community, we have to remember that Democrats are going to be high in this race.
So what's your prediction then? If you're
My prediction is Shalala is going to win based on the low Trump approval. Shalala has the money. She has the media attention. I think she's got this. I think she's got this in the bag.